to a point.
Keeping this up.
Keeping this up. Chris is going to shoot me for that.
So, welcome back to Riffs and Gigs. It's been a little while since I've done videos like this, but here I am with Keep This Up frontman Jared. Hello, how are we doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
Not too bad. It's good to be back here. Obviously, Mama Liz's. Always a nice atmosphere,
Yes.
nice vibe, and obviously you're here headlining tonight's gig, the Mega Mates Mashup.
We are. We're super stoked. It's nice to kind of have so many bands from the local area in one hub, really.
Yeah, because you've obviously got bands like Good Job Kid opening, so many other bands that I've kind of seen dotted around the scene already, just kind of coming to one place.
I think so.
Which is really nice.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's I think all of us at different times have probably played with each other. It's like Good Job Kid. We've not played with them since. I mean, Christ, that was like the first year that I was in the band. So it's many moons ago now. So it's quite nice to kind of reconnect and all that side of things.
I mean, is this the first kind of major gig for you guys this year, or what's your 2026 look like so far?
Yeah, I think this is the first gig of the year actually. So this is to headline is a big one. As you know us quite well, so it doesn't really bother us whether we're first on, whether we're the last on. So we're there to kind of make sure everyone has a good time. So we've got this, and then we've got a few more headline shows and things like that. So it's nice that that's now building. I think for us, obviously the recording is important, as you know, but live is where we kind of hold our own. I feel like so it's nice to have a lot of time there coming up. So.
I was going to say, I'm glad you mentioned the recording side of things, because you recently released the acoustic version of Fever Dream.
Yes.
Which is completely different to the original, if any of you have heard of it. But it's still really, really nice arrangement. It just flows really nicely. How did that idea come about?
I think it kind of came. I think it more or less came. Not obviously the whole arrangement, but kind of came around from messing around with, just messing around at home really. But I think what's nice with the acoustic piece is, I don't think it's lost in the original, if you will. But I think the emotion and the nuance of what what we're thematically talking about is, I think it accesses more audiences, and I think that's probably one of the bigger drivers for us wanting to go, okay, we've really got something to say here. How can we connect this to other people?
And could we see more acoustic-ified tracks almost, or was this kind of done as an experiment?
No, I mean, it's definitely not a one-off. It's something I really enjoy. It's nice to kind of, the raucous, high-energy stuff's great, but it's nice to kind of strip it back every now and again. But I think it's definitely something we're up for doing more of. I think it's one of those where it needs to be the right tracks. We're not going to just, same way as, any release that we do, we're not just going to do it for the sake of saying, we've got this coming out or we've got that coming out. We want to make sure it's the right track, it lends in the right ways. So it's definitely something we've talked about. Whether we've got something soon, I don't know at the minute. But there's a lot flying around this year, behind the scenes. So it could be in the works. And
then show-wise, obviously you've got today, Mama Liz's here in Stamford. You've recently announced a few more shows. So what's kind of the next, let's say, 6 months or so looking like for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, we've got a lot of shows coming up. And I think, what's nice with ones coming up is it's pushing us around the country again, which is something we've kind of strived to do, for the last few years now. So we've got those, and I think the focus now is, we've got a handful of, it feels like 2 handfuls of tracks at this stage that's up behind the scenes. I think some of them we're going to try and play around with tonight to see, how they're going to go down. So it's going to be about kind of keeping the energy up live, keeping that, keeping appearances, if you will, to a point.
Keeping this up.
Keeping this up. Chris is going to shoot me for that. And then I think try and get this new stuff out, because I think, you know, we've got some stuff, as I say, some stuff going in today, and how that feels in the practice room is remarkably different for how it's landing with us as individuals. So I think that's the next, you know, for this next 6 months is how much of this can we start to get recorded, start to get released, but equally bring into that live environment to test and trial and see how we go.
It sounds, I mean, I've been a fan of you guys and following you guys for however long. It's been a while. I've still got that giant inflatable banana somewhere.
Oh God, yes.
That's people watching this will be like, what? There is photo evidence. But yeah, I think it's just been really fascinating watching you guys kind of, you know, starting off as a relatively pop punk, moving into that more heavier genre, and still just really embracing different things.
Yeah.
So it's.
I think that's kind of, for me especially, I think, you know, when the new tracks start to come out, I think there's been a very conscious, you know, within the writing process, a very conscious focus of, okay, well, we've done, you know, if you look historically, obviously we've got all, as you say, the pop punk stuff, which we don't really do anymore because trying to fit that into a set now would be a nightmare. But you've got all of that, you've got the Paper Houses EP and, you know, the odd singles and what have you, but it's okay, well, you know, for example, Find Myself, how can we bring in, you know, that melodic element and push it further? Or with Remedy, okay, well, that's fairly heavy, can we go further? You know, will that land? So for us, it's like, how far can we push the extremes now?
So have we heard the heaviest you've gone yet, or is there something?
I thought we had, and I think the irony, you know, towards the end of last year when Hollaback came out, for that to be the cover, but equally probably the heaviest song we have, was hilarious. But I think with some of the stuff that's coming out, you know, the heavier is stupidly heavy. You know, tuning down lower than we've gone before, more complexity, things like that. But equally, I think we're probably angrier, I guess, with, you know, with some of the songs they are far more pointed than I would say we've gone before.
Yeah, there's a lot to be angry about. So.
There certainly is. There certainly is. And, you know, I think not just us, but I think, you know, obviously there's a lot of doom and gloom, and I don't want to downplay that by any stretch, but I equally think, you know, from a creativity point of view, is in theory we should get quite a lot of good art out of this as well. Not just as a band, but all bands and all individuals should be using that platform. So
I guess kind of my last question really is kind of obviously bringing it back to today then. What are you most looking forward to about a gig like this with so many bands? What's kind of your key point of an event like this?
Yeah, I think there's the whole aspect of being with bands that we know that we're also busy that we don't get to catch up with and hang out with, and I think that's huge. And I think, you know, as individuals, I think that will go a long way. I think as a band, you know, if I talk for Keep This Up, I think it's great for us to be in an environment now where we're, you know, teasing stuff with people that we have a lot of respect for and a lot of time for, you know, as well. So whether that's not just other bands, but, you know, friends, family, and others who I don't know. But it's nice to be in an environment within a venue that I know we and many of the other bands around here really hold quite dear. You know, so it just feels like the perfect storm to have everybody here doing what they're doing, for us to be doing what we're doing, and just having a really, you know, keeping that kind of local scene alive. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time to chat, and it's been a pleasure.
Likewise, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.